This video examines Kevin Wessel, commonly known as the business guy, the companies associated with him, and the concerns raised by publicly available court records, regulatory actions, and marketing analysis. The business guy operates through a collection of websites that collectively present a unified message that asset protection is both accessible and safely manageable through the services offered. The branding generally relies on authoritative language, references to legal strategy, and assurances of compliance. But operating as the business guy, instead of using his own name, implies means to hide the truth regarding identity, shady history, and past dealings with the law. The real name behind the brand is Kevin W. Wessel, whose documented legal history includes serious financial misconduct. However, this crucial information is not disclosed to prospective clients. Court records describe Wessel's involvement in masterminding an asset protection scheme based around a purported foreign credit union. The operation relied on offering asset protection services to the public using false representations regarding legitimacy, regulatory oversight, and financial security. Federal courts reportedly conclude that investor funds were misappropriated and that the institution did not operate as represented. The U.S. District Court for the Central District of California found that Wessel had intentionally misrepresented and concealed important facts as part of a fraudulent asset protection scheme. The court described him as the mastermind behind the scheme and noted that his deposition testimony was the most evasive the court has experienced in 33 years. The judge added that Wessel also consistently was evasive or simply lied at trial. These facts establish a documented pattern in which financial credibility and operational legitimacy were blatantly disregarded. Despite these documented concerns, Wessel now operates Lawyers Limited and related entities which present themselves as legitimate businesses offering asset protection services. In addition to being quiet about his past misadventures, Wessel frequently claims to have decades of experience in asset protection, often stating he has been in business for over 30 years.
I am the business guy, the CEO of the Lawyers Limited law firm and asset protection planners. I've been protecting people's assets for over 34 years, and for nearly 30 of those, I've been setting up the Cook Islands Trust, arguably the most powerful legal tool on the planet.
However, his own YouTube videos reveal a very different story. In videos posted approximately 12 years ago, Wessel can be seen running a pawn shop.
Do you need cash? Bring diamonds, gold, watches, fine jewelry, and we'll get you the cash you need. Fast, like me. Visit BeverlyHillsPawnshop.com or SantaClaritaPawnshop.com.
Adding to the pattern of deceptive practices, Kevin Wessel appears to use a fake name on social media profiles and online interactions. This raises serious questions about transparency and honesty in his professional dealings. One of the most scrutinized aspects of the operation involves entity naming, particularly Lawyers Limited. The name itself implies a licensed law firm. Marketing language reinforces this implication by referencing legal strategies, attorney involvement, and confidentiality concepts associated with attorney-client privilege. This appears to create a reasonable consumer expectation of direct legal representation. However, clients may instead be contracting with non-lawyer entities with legal services provided indirectly or in a limited capacity. The distinction between legal advice and general consulting is critical. Attorney-client relationships carry defined ethical duties, confidentiality protections, and malpractice liability. Consulting relationships do not. This is particularly consequential in asset protection, where outcomes depend heavily on who is providing advice, what credentials they hold, and which entity bears legal responsibility. In many states, the unauthorized practice of law is a serious and sanctionable offense that can carry legal consequences for both the provider of the services as well as the client. LawyersLimited.com explicitly advertises purported other ventures, including Offshore Company, Asset Protection Planners, 1-800-Company, and Companies Incorporated. These ventures are identified as a service of Lawyers Limited, but in reality, they are merely brand names and websites operating under Lawyers Limited. The use of multiple brands is, by itself, proof of no wrongdoing. Instead, it is described as a recognized red flag, a pattern that, when combined with other factors such as disputed experience claims, prior litigation, and regulatory scrutiny, warrants heightened caution. When multiple entities exist to perform the same function, experts typically ask, what purpose does each entity serve? Why must services be fragmented across brands? What is gained through this fragmentation? Ambiguity in how services are framed may leave clients believing they possess legal protections that do not, in fact, apply. This is particularly consequential in asset protection, where improper advice can invalidate structures entirely. When challenged in court, improperly formed or advised structures are often disregarded, leaving clients exposed and without recourse. Claims of decade-long experience form a cornerstone of the brand's authority. Online records show that while Wessel claims to have decades of experience in asset protection, he was actually engaged in unrelated commercial activities, running or at least marketing a pawn shop.
SantaClaritaPawnShop.com and BeverlyHillsPawnShop.com. Adios!
While career transitions are common, combining unrelated experience into a single narrative of specialized expertise is misleading. Similarly, claims of corporate longevity dating back more than a century appear to rely on technical continuity of corporate registration rather than the continuous operation of a business in the relevant field. This distinction is significant. The age of incorporation does not equal a professional legacy. The investigation into the business guy does not rest on speculation or isolated grievances. It is based on patterns of branding, misrepresentation, and false narratives that are not up to the standard of licensed professional services. Asset protection is a field where clarity, proper licensing, and accountability are non negotiable. When examined in isolation, most any single element of the business guy's operation might be explained away as aggressive marketing, unconventional branding, or poor judgment. But when viewed in totality, the overlapping businesses, the inflated experience claims, the misleading branding, and the documented history of fraud, a far more troubling picture emerges. The repeated use of multiple brands, such as to sell essentially the same service, is not innovation. In a regulated industry, it is a mechanism for obscuring accountability. It makes it harder for consumers to know who they are actually dealing with, harder to verify credentials, and harder to seek recourse when things go wrong. The branding appears designed to bar the credibility of the legal profession without fully complying with its requirements or submitting to its rules. Names that imply license authority, marketing that suggests attorney involvement, and messaging that promise certainty in an inherently uncertain legal landscape all combine to create an impression that appears materially misleading. This is why operations like this are a threat to the integrity of the asset protection field itself. Legitimate professionals operate under strict licensing environments and ethical obligations. They disclose who they are, what they are qualified to do, and what limits apply to their advice. When a business emerges that mimics the appearance of legitimacy while sidestepping those constraints, it undermines public trust in the entire industry. This is more than misrepresentation. It is a threat to anyone who relies on these services. Individuals seeking asset protection are often vulnerable, facing real financial, legal, and personal risks. When confidence is built on persona and branding rather than verified credentials and actual advice, the consequences can be disastrous. Fraud is not just false statements. It is using an entire system designed to mislead, constructing the appearance of expertise, and profiting from misplaced trust. For anyone considering offshore planning, asset protection, or legal services, the warning is clear. Look beyond the branding, verify credentials, and demand transparency.
And they're always after me, Lucky Charms.